Resolve this and 4 million will be yours, the director laughed, his voice echoing across the polished conference hall. Every consultant in the room froze. Some smiled nervously, others exchanged doubtful glances. None expected what happened next. The company's cleaner, the man no one paid attention to, stepped forward and shocked everyone in a way they would never forget. But before I take you inside that extraordinary moment, let me ask you something. What would you do if life gave you just one chance? One moment to prove yourself, 1 second to rise from the shadows? Because that is exactly what happened to a man who everyone underestimated, a man with no fancy degree, no expensive suit, and no powerful connections. Yet, that day, he stood taller than all of them. And his story is one you must hear until the very end. In a towering glass building in the heart of the city worked a cleaner named Imran. Every morning, before the sun rose, he was already there. Sweeping, mopping, polishing the floors that the powerful executives walked on without noticing. He was a man invisible to the world, someone people barely greeted. But behind those tired eyes and humble smile lived a heart that had known struggle, and a mind sharper than anyone could imagine. Imran's story was not one of privilege. He had once been a bright student, a boy who dreamed of becoming an engineer, solving problems, and lifting his family out of poverty. But fate had been unkind. His father fell ill, and instead of finishing his studies, Imran had to pick up work to feed his younger siblings. Day by day, dream by dream, he gave up pieces of his own future so his family could survive. And so, he became the man with the mop, the one who carried the world on his shoulders silently, without complaint. One afternoon, while executives in crisp suits gathered in the boardroom, Imran quietly entered to collect empty cups and wipe the table. He moved quickly, trying not to disturb, but he couldn't help overhearing the director's booming voice. The company had been facing a massive problem for months, a supply chain crisis that threatened to bring down millions in losses. The directors had called in top consultants from across the country, offering a staggering prize. Resolve this and 4 million will be yours. The room filled with nervous laughter. Some consultants scribbled on their notepads, others tapped on laptops. But none could crack it. Hours passed. Charts were drawn, erased, and redrawn. The director himself laughed in frustration, mocking the so-called geniuses he had hired. 4 million on the line, and not one of you can figure out a simple problem, he sneered. Imran kept his head down, but inside, something stirred. He had listened carefully to every detail of the challenge. Numbers, logistics, routes, bottlenecks, it all played in his head like a puzzle he used to love solving as a child. His heart raced. He told himself, don't even think about it. You're just the cleaner. They won't listen. But another voice whispered louder, what if this is your chance? Finally, as the room fell into a heavy silence, Imran did something unthinkable. He put down his mop, cleared his throat, and said softly, Sir. I think I know the answer. The room erupted in laughter. The consultants smirked, some outright chuckled. One of them muttered, what's next? The janitor teaching us economics? But the director, amused and irritated, leaned back in his chair. All right then, cleaner, he said mockingly, show us what you've got. Shock me. Resolve this, and 4 million will be yours. Imran's hands trembled, but his voice was steady. He walked to the whiteboard, ignoring the stares. With simple, precise words, he broke down the problem. He showed how the company's supply routes overlapped unnecessarily, how trucks traveled half-empty in opposite directions, wasting time and money. He sketched a new system, optimized routes, better scheduling, and a partnership with local vendors that no one had considered. Within minutes, the impossible puzzle looked obvious. Silence filled the room. Consultants stared at the board, then at each other. The director leaned forward, his eyes narrowing, disbelief flashing into respect. How did you see this? He asked. Imran swallowed hard. Because I've lived it, sir. I used to manage deliveries on a borrowed bicycle when I was a boy. When you have nothing, you learn to use everything wisely. There was no laughter now. Only stunned faces and a truth that humbled everyone. The cleaner had solved what the experts could not. The director slowly stood, walked toward Imran, and placed a hand on his shoulder. You've just saved this company millions, he said quietly. And I keep my word. 4 million is yours. Tears welled in Imran's eyes. For years, he had been invisible, unnoticed, just another man in the background. But that day, he stood in the center, his brilliance shining brighter than any suit or title. He wasn't just a cleaner anymore. He was proof that talent has no uniform, and dreams never truly die, they wait for their moment. Imran didn't use the money to live a lavish life. He paid off his father's debts, sent his siblings back to school, and invested in helping other underprivileged children complete their education, so no child would ever have to give up their dreams the way he once did.